Jack's red,
Elena's blue.
and together, we're red, right, and blue. For years, Democrats have complained about big money in politics, corporate money, PAC money, and special interests. But what happens when a candidate actually tries to run without it? We may be finding out right here in Northwest Illinois. I'm Elena Reyes. Our Democratic State Senate nominee, Joe Berning's latest campaign finance report has caught my attention. Not because of how much money he raised, but because of where that money came from. And where it didn't. Berning raised just over $2,000 during the second quarter. Let's be clear, that's not much money for someone trying to defeat an incumbent state senator across a 7-county district. But let's look a little deeper. Every dollar of Berning's reported cash contributions this quarter came from individuals. No reported PAC transfers, no union money, no loans, and none of the large corporate contributions we so often associate with high-profile political campaigns. In fact, his largest individual donation was just $250. Now, we need to be careful here. A campaign finance report tells us who gave a campaign money. It doesn't tell us whether somebody offered money and the candidate turned it down. So I can't tell you from this report that Berning is refusing corporate or PAC money. But I can tell you this, none of it appears on this report. And in an era when politicians routinely tell us they want to get big money out of politics, that's worth noticing, especially because there's another group missing, our own Democratic establishment. No reported transfers from the state Democratic Party. Nothing reported from any of the 7-county Democratic organizations in the district. No reported financial support from Democratic legislative leadership. And none of the labor or building trades PAC support that has traditionally played an important role in Democratic politics, including right here in Freeport, Illinois. And that leaves me with a question I'd love to ask our Democratic nominee. Is this intentional? Is Joe Berning actually trying to do what voters, and plenty of politicians, have been saying candidates should do for years? Spend less time courting special interests, and more time courting us? I don't know. Maybe we'll see that institutional support come later. Maybe Democratic leaders have looked at this district and decided, why even try? Or maybe Berning really is trying to build this campaign differently. The disclosure can't answer that. But here's what we do know. Joe Berning isn't sitting at home waiting for the party or unions to write him checks. For more than a year, he's been traveling throughout Northwest Illinois. He's active on social media. He shows up where voters actually are, including events right here in Freeport. And I think Democrats should pay attention to that. Because maybe Joe is trying to do exactly what we keep saying we want from politicians. Less time chasing big checks. More time talking to actual voters. But there's a problem. It sounds a lot better than it balances a campaign budget. Berning spent nearly $4,700 this quarter, while raising only about $2,000. He finished June with just $7,172.12 available. His Republican opponent, Senator Andrew Chesney, he's operating on an entirely different financial level, and I know my friend Jack is going to have plenty to say about that. If Democrats across Northwest Illinois actually want a chance at electing a Democratic state senator, they're going to have to get up and get involved. Because $7,000 against a well-funded incumbent makes for a very long final 3 months. And here's the hard truth my fellow Democrats need to hear. We can't have it both ways. Either we stop complaining about money taking over our elections, or we stand up and prove that money isn't everything, that we can stand up, fight, and maybe even win. It always amazes me how many of us are willing to stand on a street corner holding up a poster board, but when it comes time to actually get our candidates elected, crickets. And this matters beyond which party wins an election. Every voter needs to understand that what happens in Springfield doesn't stay in Springfield. Taxes, schools, roads, energy, healthcare. Those decisions eventually find their way right back here to Northwest Illinois. The numbers suggest Joe Berning is relying on a grassroots-style campaign to get him across the finish line in rural Illinois. There's something admirable about that. There really is. But there's still a question Democrats need to answer. If they really want State Senator Andrew Chesney out of office, where are they? because even President Obama didn't win on hope alone. Jack Sullivan is taking a look at the Republican side of this race, and after that, he and I are going to sit down, put these reports side by side, and have a real conversation, not about which team we're supposed to cheer for, about what these numbers actually tell us about the two people asking to represent us, because there's a lot more to these reports than who has the biggest bank account. I'm Elena Reyes, and remember, we're one community, one Freeport, and united, we're red, right, and blue.